Physical attacks of all sorts. And the third way that goes beyond the borders of Venezuela, that goes all over the planet, doesn't matter how far, is moral attacks. The attack to our integrity. The attacks to who we are. They want to dismantle the possibility to bring about change by taking down our credibility. Moral attacks that can go from calling us murderers, drug traffickers, or responsible of being part of coups. Today, Venezuela is being governed by somebody who led a coup in the year 1992. 25 were killed. They had the intention of killing the president at the time. They were not successful at doing that. Year 1998, the actual president of Venezuela, was in the court, Supreme Court in Venezuela. They wanted to disqualify him. There was a proposal not to allow him to run because he had been involved in a coup d'etat and more than 20 people were killed. The court said he can run because there is no decision, there is no definite sentence by a criminal court that he was responsible. Exactly 10 years after that, August of 2008, 10 years after that, I was in the same court, same room, with a similar case, disqualifying to run for office, on the grounds that we pay teachers, that we pay public lighting, that we pay police officers. Or allegation, same. Let's not go to the case. I have no sentence, or there is no decision by a criminal court that determines that I have committed a crime. If there is no sentence by a criminal court, you cannot disqualify me. Simple. Venezuelan Constitution is very clear. The Inter-American Human Rights Agreement is very clear that the only way somebody can be disqualified to run for office is if that person has been sentenced by a criminal court. The decision of the court was that in that case, I had to be disqualified and I couldn't run for office. The reason, not because we were involved in any wrongdoing, the reason, political, because we were able to gather the hearts of Venezuelans for a better future, for an alternative, for a country where all rights are for all the people, where we can all have a common understanding of respect, of diversity, and living in a common country where we can think differently, we can act differently, but we can live under the same rules. That's our proposal for Venezuelans. We are winning day by day more and more hearts of Venezuelans. And we will continue to work from the bottom up. And we will continue to work with this powerful idea. All rights for all the people. And we will bring to our cause all those Venezuelans that have been affected, that have been victims of their rights to our cause. And we will give them the tools. We will organize them so they can be better at defending their causes. So they can take their message not only to other Venezuelans, but they can take their message outside Venezuela as well. Thank you very much.
Whoever thought that an academic topic introduced also by grassroots persons and in a political audience could be a dull experience in the morning, they have been proven wrong at our breakfast meeting. I know that messages delivered are strong, but we also have to continue and not putting a special light on one of the speakers, but I do believe that we have a program that escalates because it's a proud opportunity for us in Civita to ask Anwar Ibrahim, former Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia and now an opposition leader, a politician that has paid a high price but that is with us here and still able to speak out loud about his views on human rights.
Thank you. I must commend Civita and Door Freedom Forum for this opportunity. I'm very impressed. I've been traveling quite a bit throughout the world. Very rarely do you get the enthusiastic response over breakfast dealing with issues of human rights from countries far away to Venezuela, Malaysia, that some you're not quite familiar with. And this is an impressive movement. I'm totally convinced that if we're going to affect change, to value life, sanctity of life and property for all human beings, it takes the conviction and commitment of the masses. I've been in government, I've been acting Prime Minister, and that was the problem, I suppose. I was acting as Prime Minister, and removed, assaulted, broke my back, and lethal attack by the Inspector General of Police. So I'm quite familiar with governments, met Prime Ministers, kings. I've been thrown to jail, treated like a dog, thrown food at me, badly assaulted, 6 years of solitary confinement. It's not difficult, it's of course not easy, but it's tough for my wife, my kids, my friends. And I'm not that I'm cynical with governments or those in authority, but I have a strong passion. When I talk about freedom, justice, it's not a theoretical construct. It's about people's lives. I'm fortunate because I have friends in the media, in governments who know, and therefore they talk about Anwar. But you have thousands and millions of people. They have no access. When I was thrown into prison, I've seen so many people with black eye. When I had this black eye, the famous black eye, the first reaction by the then Prime Minister was that it was self-inflicted. It's bloody nonsense. But I've seen hundreds of other black eyes in prison. And I thought, in a way, I was fortunate. Because my black eye was publicized. But there's so many others. So that is why I've grown to be rather passionate, sentimental, the whole issue of freedom and justice. And that ultimately you appeal to the hearts and minds of people. That look, whether you are Christian or Muslim or agnostic or animist, you have to value life, sanctity of life and property. What is all this argument about Asian values? We in Asia know what is best for us culturally. That democracy, human rights is the dictate of the West. Don't tell us what to do. We have longer history and civilization. We have produced great philosophers. But we have also produced idiots as our leaders. And so this argument in the 80s, in fact, one of what was considered as a blunder by my colleagues was to write about Asian Renaissance when I was finance minister in the 90s, when we registered 9–10% growth and made sure, with a conservative management economy, with a slight surplus in our budget. And at that time I said, look, it's just not about GDP, growth, foreign direct investments, but people's lives. When you have abject poverty, when you deny basic rights, when there's no free media and judiciary has been compromised, we still have the World Bank coming out with a report, East Asian Economic Miracle.